Welcome back to Heroes Next Door. Thank you all for joining us. We are back in Pennsylvania. We are in Phoenixville. This is a borough in Pennsylvania on the eastern side, and we're going to take a look at their police department. So this station cribs is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be talking to some of the police officers. They're going to show us what they have. So let's go take a look. So one of the reasons we got to come to this police department is one of my friends, Dutch. He's a police officer here. He invited us out. He works with me on that Chester County SWAT team. We're gonna meet up with his Lieutenant Brian McIntyre, and he's gonna show us around. As I come into the building, we're right off of Bridge Street here in Phoenixville Borough. We're gonna meet up, like I said, with Lieutenant Brian McIntyre, and he's gonna kind of show us around. Thank you for inviting us out.
Hey Mike, how you doing? I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
So this building is not all police department, is that correct?
That is correct. So the second floor, you're going to have your administrative offices, and then on the third floor, you'll have your borough council chambers where they hold their meetings and everything like that.
Okay.
Attached to us is also a law firm, and they're on the second floor as well.
Okay, but for the public to come in, they come into this area for you. If they need to make a complaint or tell you about something, this is where they show up, is that correct?
Yes, sir. They'd come right through those doors there, come right in here. They'd be greeted by one of two secretaries that we have working behind the windows here. And then depending on what it is they need, an officer would be dispatched.
Okay. And you got a lot of cool things here. Do you mind if we go take a look?
Yeah, not at all. So the general public lobby right here, we have a restroom that's open to the public as well.
Okay.
We also have a safe medication disposal box here for them to drop off any medications or something that they're not going to use.
Yeah, we saw that once before. We did West Whiteland. They have that too. That's very good to have. You know, many of the fire departments around us, they have the baby drop-offs, but they don't have the medication drop-offs, which seems to me a little bit backwards. The police department actually has the medication drop-offs.
And you'd be surprised, it gets used quite a bit. We're emptying it probably every other day.
Yeah, that's a good thing to have.
So then this is going to take you into the building. The building's a secure facility because of JNet and things like that. A lot of personal information that comes in and out of here of everybody. We want to keep it protected and private. So in order to get in here, you either have to be certified to come through, or you have to have an officer accounting you the whole time.
Okay. And today we have an officer accounting us. So it's all right. Yeah. So you walk right in. Your secretaries are over here. They're off for the night, right?
Yes, they both. The last secretary just went home for the night just a few minutes ago.
Okay.
So we closed the door, but we can open it up and give you a peek inside if you'd like.
So what do they stay here 9 to 5? Is it 8 to 4?
So one is always here 8 to 4:30.
Okay.
And then the other one fills in whenever she's on lunch break or has a vacation day or scheduled day. Okay. She's also the secretary that works directly with our mayor. Okay. So she's there to help him.
So after hours, if I have a complaint or something happens to me, I need to come to the police station, who then takes that report from there? How does that work?
I'm glad you asked. So when you were in the front of the building, I don't know if you happened to notice there was a phone box on the wall there.
I did.
You pick up that phone, it's going to take you directly to the 911 center, to a dispatcher. That dispatcher then will dispatch an officer that's on duty working, and they'll come back to meet you.
Okay. Pretty good way to do that. As we back out here, you have an interview room?
So this is what we call the soft interview room.
Okay.
This is where we come in, take initial reports. They come in, someone comes in, says they had an identity theft, something like that. They can come in here and an officer will take an initial report.
All right. And we walk our way through here. So real quick, we have an opportunity to meet their mayor of Phoenixville. Can you introduce us to him?
Absolutely. He's right in here. This is Mayor Peter Ursler.
Okay. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Thank you for inviting us in.
It's nice to see you. Thank you all so much for joining us here today.
Yeah. This is an awesome building.
Oh, absolutely. We love it.
And the fact that you are with the police department in their building is kind of a unique way to do this.
So, it is, definitely.
Is that something that you designed, or?
So that's actually something that was designed. It's actually in the Pennsylvania Constitution. And so I generally tell people the mayor's job is really two very different pieces. One piece is extremely legal, and that's dictated by the Pennsylvania Constitution, which puts the mayor as really the chief law enforcement officer.
Okay.
So similar to the President of the United States, the mayoral office, like the executive branch, oversees the kind of law enforcement in the police department.
Right.
And so I'm very fortunate because in our new building that we have here, I actually have my office right inside the police station.
When was this building built?
So this building was built in 2013 and replaced a pretty old building that we once had.
Right on the same location?
It was actually a couple blocks away.
Okay. How many residents do you have that you guys take care of here?
So in Phoenixville, we have about 18,500 residents as of the last census. We are actually the 13th fastest growing municipality in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And so we are adding a lot of residents, and we actually expect to add quite a bit more in the next 5 years.
Right, right. And you guys got a lot of things that go on around here. You got a lot of different events. I know M. Night Shyamalan, he actually did some movies up here, correct?
Absolutely, yes, we do. It's a great place to film movies. Of course, the most famous movie ever filmed in Phoenixville was The Blob.
Yeah.
And we recreate that run out every single year.
Okay.
So we just did that a couple weeks ago, so it was a good time. But Phoenixville's just a great community. It's really vibrant. It's an old steel town, but it's always had this really strong, caring spirit. And the people who are here, they just love the community. We have over 65 nonprofit organizations. And so we bring people of all backgrounds and interests and abilities together, and they just live in this incredible community.
That's awesome. How did you become mayor?
So it's really interesting. I actually used to work for a finance company. I worked in technology. Eventually, I worked in communications. And then I left to start consulting. My parents were much older.
Okay.
And so I actually became their caregiver. And then one day somebody said, you really love the community. Would you ever consider serving in public office? And I said, you know what? I'll give it a try.
Right.
And so it's not nearly as easy as it sounded.
Right.
It's about a year-long process. I always tell people it's really what you see kind of on a national stage. It takes a year. You run through your primaries, you run through a general election, and then if you make it through, I was really fortunate that night. I made it through and became the mayor of Phoenixville in 2018. I was the youngest mayor ever elected.
Okay, from the fire side of it, we have a lot of chiefs and we have a lot of board of directors. They're all volunteers. Is the mayor position a volunteer also? Or?
So ironically enough, I am not technically a volunteer,
Okay.
but most people think the mayor of Phoenixville is actually a full-time job, which it definitely could be. We do a lot of incredible work with our police department and the incredible community members that we have. But the mayor is actually considered more of a part-time role.
Okay.
So I make about $2.06 an hour if I worked 40 hours a week.
Right. So, well, we thank you for your service, and your, display here was absolutely incredible. Can you tell me a little bit what you have back here?
Absolutely. These are just kind of gifts from my travels, all of the incredible people within the community, little plaques and gifts from different events that we have, bottles that were found in the Schuylkill River, different awards, a congressional challenge coin from our congressional representative, just lots of fun and different things. My first wedding I ever officiated, actually the photo's right over there. So it's just a fun collection of things that I picked up either here in Phoenixville from all of our incredible community members or in my travels as mayor.
Right. One of the things that we see as we travel the country, especially in the firehouses and EMS houses, they keep a lot of this kind of memorabilia because that's their history. That's where they came from. That's where they're going to. So I like the fact that you as mayor put that in your office and you allow that to happen.
Thank you so much. So. Well, I definitely love it. We have an incredible community, and we're so fortunate to have a wonderful police department and all of our first responders. So thank you for highlighting that.
Thank you for your support. We appreciate it.
It was a pleasure.
Nice to meet you, Peter.
Nice meeting you.
All right. Now we're going to head back to our video.
This is a records room. I'm not going to open that only because there's a lot of different data hanging on the walls and stuff in there. I don't necessarily feel comfortable
Sure,
in it.
we want to keep
But
everybody
that's where
private.
all our case files and everything like that go to once they're ready to be stored.
So in EMS, we have to keep our records for about 7 to 10 years. Do you guys still have to do that?
We do. We have a large retention span that we have to cover. In fact, some of our records in there date all the way back to the 90s. It just depends on what the crime was, what the record's for.
Okay. I noticed a lot of the pictures on the wall. These some of your old officers?
Yeah, this is Phoenixville way back when. Some of the guys that started off here in town. You can see some of the old uniforms and how they looked. And these are a couple of our detectives that were out on a crime scene.
Right. They almost look like the Smokey and the Bear.
Yeah.
Kind of back in the 70s.
Yeah, it's awesome with the old revolvers you can see on their hips. It's nice.
Right. It's good to have that. A lot of things that we find going through the firehouse is they hold a lot of history within their firehouse. They show a lot of their old equipment, a lot of the memorabilia, those kind of things. It's nice to see that the police department kind of does the same thing.
Yeah, it's nice. It's always good to remember where you came from, right? It's always good to have that.
Right.
This is the chief's office. You'll see that he has a conference table here,
Right.
which is where we'll hold some of our meetings and discussions and stuff. And then this is where you'll find the chief when he's here. He's left for the day. So
How long has your chief been chief?
So Chief Marshall has been a chief for about 7 months now. He got promoted at the beginning of this year, but he's been here 30 some years.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So you kind of recruit from the within side.
we try. We focus heavy on training and stuff, and we want to make sure that every guy here is prepared and ready to do the next step of the job. And we try to keep promotions within if we can.
Okay. One of the problems that we have in fire and EMS is that retention and recruitment of new employees, new volunteers. Are you guys finding the same kind of struggles?
So we are, especially right now. For example, we're going through the process to hire a new officer, and when we used to see numbers like 30, 60, sometimes even more applicants, this particular round we only had 33 applicants and we only had 16 show up to take the test.
Okay.
So that number has dwindled quite a bit, which, you only need one good one if you're hiring one spot.
Right, right.
So it's still okay, but we'd like to see higher numbers in that, obviously.
Yeah, we definitely want to get those pools up. So if you guys are watching these kind of videos and you're interested in becoming a police officer, stop in, talk to these guys. I'm sure they talk you through the process of what it takes to become a police officer. We're always looking for help. Like I said, on the fire, EMS, and police side of it.
Yeah.
So if I were wanted to become a police officer, what do I have to do? Do I have to come in with training already?
So not necessarily. A lot of departments require you be MOPEC certified already, which yes, you'd have to have the academy behind you already.
Okay.
Some departments will hire you and then send you to the academy. We have done that in the past, but the majority of our hires come in MOPEC certified.
Okay. What is MOPEC?
So MOPEC is the municipal training. So state police runs the requirements that they feel an officer needs in order to be certified for certification, and MOPEC is what that is.
Okay, so you would take that through like Delaware Community College, and they go through the police academy that they offer. That's what we're talking about.
Yes, there's one in Delaware County Community College. There's one in Montgomery County Community College.
Okay.
Allentown has a version. Hershey. They're all over the place.
And those are pretty much a 2-year kind of program?
No, it's based on hours. I
Okay.
know at one point it was 720 hours required. I'm not sure how many hours it is at this moment.
Okay. So that's very similar to our EMT or AEMT programs on the EMS side. 700 hours sounds about right to get that initial training to get ready to go. But that doesn't mean once you get to the job, you're done learning.
No, it's on the field training then. And on the field training is where you really learn what you need to do.
Right. So right here we got your armory.
So this is an armory. It's where we hold all our ammunition, targets, extra weapons, things like that.
Okay. So with the targets and stuff, do you have a shooting range in this facility?
Not in the facility, no. Okay. We have a training center in Chester County, which is where they have a state-of-the-art indoor range that they just built, so we can go use that. We also have a couple local outdoor ranges that we're able to use.
Okay. And how often do you guys normally train?
Well, it depends. As far as firearms go, we usually have a qual once a year, which we qualify. Okay. And then we have usually a training, so it's twice a year.
Twice a year.
We'd like to have more, but it's right now it's really hard to get ammo and those things, the things you need.
Sure. But it's nice to know that, just like fire and police, you always have to keep up on that continuing education.
Yes.
We're never, get a job and then we're stuck in that. We're always advancing the service.
Yeah, well, and that's part of MOPEC as well, is we're required to take so many hours of training every single year that we have to complete, so that's good.
Okay. Here's a evidence processing room.
Yeah, this is the evidence processing room. This is where you would come in if you made an arrest and you had to package. Let's say, for example, you made an arrest and you had some narcotics you needed to package. You'd come in here, you'd package it, you'd put it in a temporary evidence locker until an evidence custodian could put it in the evidence room.
Okay. And that kind of information, does that get automatically put over to the courts? How does that work when that evidence?
Well, it depends. I mean, the evidence is logged in all the reports. It's also, there's a chain of command that's followed, but it's also, for example, with narcotics, with a drug arrest, you may need to send it to the lab, so then it would be sent to PSP's lab, where it would be processed and then sent back. So it just depends on what you're doing with it.
Right. But you keep it nice and secure right there?
Always. Yeah.
So, as we go down here, we got a couple of restrooms.
Have a restroom here.
Yeah.
This used to be the drug unit. I used to be the sergeant of the narcotics unit.
Okay.
I recently got promoted to lieutenant of the operations. So this is my office now. You can come on in.
Okay. I have the same flag on my office wall. One of the local guys in our district made those for us.
So we actually just started moving the offices around because the promotions are pretty recent. So I'm in the process of finding everything. That's going to go on this wall back here. I just got to find exactly where I'm going to put it.
Perfect place. Nice office you got, nice and big, nice and cool. You got a window. We always fight for a window space.
You got to have the view, right? The view's important.
So, I noticed your vehicles up here. You're always black and white, or have you kind of changed the color over years?
So it's like a navy blue and white. We've changed the scheme slightly here and there, but for the most part, this is what it's always been.
Right. So what has been your favorite vehicle so far?
The Crown Vic.
The Crown Vic.
There's nothing better than the Crown Vic. That's the police car.
So, yeah, we transferred over to the new Ford Explorers. Liked them, but they don't meet the Chrome Vic standards in my opinion. So.
The Chrome Vics were great.
So over here is the detective's office.
This is where the detectives work. You have Corporal Natalie's hard at work right now as we speak. The detective sergeant's office is over there. He's not in right now, so I'm not going to open his door for him.
Okay.
But this is where these guys would report and work on their cases.
So are detectives actually police officers that go on the streets too? How does that work as far as a detective?
So it's a position that they're assigned. So we have different ranks. We have a sergeant, we have a corporal, we have patrolmen that do it. But they're removed from the patrol division and put in the detective division.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah, it's the Bureau of Criminal Investigations is where they work now.
Okay. All right. All right. And we're going to make our way to the...
You want to head to the patrol room?
Yeah, let's go to the patrol room.
We're going to walk straight down here.
All right.
So this is our patrol room here. This is where whichever squad's working for the day will come in. They'll have their roll call here at the table. That's where they go over the previous incidents of the night before, or day before, depending on if they're coming from days off or not.
Okay.
And then they'll assign their zones and their assignments for the day.
Right. So one thing that I've done over years is, I watch a lot of the police and fire shows like Chicago Fire, Chicago Police. And, the most recent one is The Rookie that I like watching. And, good entertainment. But they do a roll call and they actually sit down and actually, tell you, people they're looking for. They tell you, the criminal, what's going on in the neighborhood. Is that kind of the same thing that you do here?
Same exact thing. Yeah, they're going to sit here. Through our reporting system, they'll bring up on the TV up there so that all the officers can see it together. The previous calls and dispatches, they'll go through pertinent emails, and then they'll start discussing wanted people, things like that, and then special assignments. The one thing about Phoenixville, it's a beautiful town. There's events all the time. We have like 52 to 56 events every year.
Okay.
So they'll go over what events are occurring, what needs to be done as far as they're concerned, and they'll do all that right here.
Right, right. So I noticed you got a whole bank of radios. Do
Yes.
the officers get assigned a radio during their shift, or do they get it to take home? Because fire departments, a lot of times, they get assigned. The chief and the lieutenant, they always get a radio that they just keep on them at all times. Are you guys operating the same kind of way?
No, so the patrol units, we don't actually have enough radios to give every patrol officer a radio to keep to take home. So they're assigned a radio. Each officer has a radio assignment. It's actually the charger banks is where the issue comes.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So this is
then we
almost
have the body cameras over here. You'll see body cameras over here.
Body cameras are always
The
important.
watch guard body cameras, they get assigned every day by the sergeant at the shift.
Right. So how long have you been on the job?
So I've been in law enforcement for about 17 and a half years now, and about 16 of them here in Phoenixville.
Okay. What got you started to become a police officer?
That's my grandfather. My grandfather was a police officer. He's a chief. He was probably the greatest man I ever knew, so I always wanted to follow in his footsteps.
That's awesome. Again, I'm kind of going heavy on the fire side of it because, a lot of traditions, a lot of the viewers have seen our station cribs on the fire side of it. They always have, generational things. We had one recently that did 6 generations of fire guys. So it's always nice to hear the police officers are doing the same thing.
Yeah, I couldn't think of a better man than my grandfather, so why not follow?
Right, right. So. All right. So this would be considered almost like your crew room of a fire station. This is where, if you don't have a call, you come in here. Is this where you eat lunch too? Or?
They can come in here to eat lunch and stuff, but even if they don't have a call, they stay on the street as much as possible to patrol, be a deterrent, be visual.
Okay.
But yes, if they're taking a break or they're coming in here to maybe work on a report that they don't want to do in the car, because small reports you can do in the car real quick, real easy, but your larger reports, it's more comfortable to come sit down in a chair and work at a station and a computer.
Okay.
So they'll come back here for that. They'll come back here for meal breaks.
So really, your house and your crew room is your vehicles that you guys are in.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the officer's office is the vehicle.
That's where you spend
everything gets done there. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Unlike the EMS and fire, where we go back to a station, we have recliners and watch TV in between calls.
Yeah, we
you
wish.
Guys don't have
yeah,
that.
no, we wish.
But what kind of shifts do you guys then work? Do you guys work 12 and 24-hour shifts?
It's 12-hour shifts, and it rotates every 2 weeks from day to night.
Okay. Okay. Interesting way to do it. It's kind of gets tough on you a while.
Your body will take a beating over the years for sure.
Right.
It's 24/7 coverage.
Right.
Is what it comes down to.
Awesome. All right. What else do we got to see?
So if you come back here, you'll see there's a sergeant's office.
Okay.
You'll see we have Sergeant Frost here, hard at work.
Hey, Sergeant. Nice to meet you. Thanks for inviting us in.
This is their office.
Okay.
There's 4 sergeants for the patrol division. 2 will share a desk, opposite shifts. This is where they come in and review all the reports, schedule any trainings or anything they need to do. and run their shift, run their platoons the way they need to be run.
Okay.
So
how many crew members do you have on shift?
So there'll be 5 on a platoon, and then you have 2 power shifts.
Okay.
So
Okay. And then he oversees all of that?
yes.
And then you oversee those? How does the lieutenant versus sergeant fit in that?
So the operations lieutenant, which is what I am, I oversee all of patrol and detectives.
Okay.
And then we have an administrative lieutenant who oversees like policy, grant writing, and things like that.
Okay. So it's lieutenant, then sergeant?
Correct.
And then
yeah,
patrol.
it's chief, lieutenant, sergeant, corporal, patrol.
All right. We're
That's-
talking to the right
that's
guy
our rank
today.
structure here, yeah.
Awesome. Where do you guys keep your vehicles? Obviously, you're driving around.
So
all the
they're right
time.
out back here. I can take you out back and show you them real fast.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we're coming out of your briefing room there.
briefing room there. Yep. So these are the locker rooms here. That's where
Okay.
guys get changed and get ready for the shift. That's
Right.
the other door to the sergeant's office.
Do you normally keep your uniforms here at the station, or do you take them home?
Some guys will wear them back and forth, but the majority of them keep them here at the station in their lockers.
Okay.
It's actually good timing. Officer Dober, you want to bring that bike over here and show these gentlemen that bike?
All right.
He's got the new electric bike.
Yeah.
He's our bike officer.
One of our sponsors is Hemaway. Hemaway is a e-bike that sent us one to do. We went to Michigan and actually put it through its paces. We took it on the sand, we took it out in dirt, we took it on the street with the e-bike. These things are game changers as far as it's concerned.
It's incredible, and I'll let Officer Dober tell you about it. He knows far more about it than I do. But
All right. Nice to meet you. My name is Mike.
Brad Dober, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
sorry, we caught you trying to cool off. Huh?
Yeah.
No, I was just coming back for the sergeant.
So you were out on patrol just now with the bike?
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay. Do you do that often?
That's what, I'm officially assigned to our bike unit. That's all I do is patrolling the bike around town.
Okay.
And I heard you say about the e-bike's a game changer, and it sure is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going from the old traditional bike powered by myself to the e-bike, it's made our visibility on our trails, which are heavily used through town, much more prevalent now. We can go further on the trails, off the trails.
Okay. Now,
Makes
you have a trail that runs pretty much from Exton area in Pennsylvania all the way down into Philadelphia, right? That corner of it?
Our section, we're the Schuylkill River. That's the Chester Valley Trail through Exton.
Okay.
Schuylkill River goes technically from Pottsville all the way to Philadelphia.
Okay.
Our section is all McAdam through the Borough, which is a large part on the other side of the French Creek.
Okay.
And we patrol that ourselves. The other sections are patrolled by the Chester County Park Rangers.
Okay. One of the things that I'm going to do for my video for the review of the Hemaway is I'm going to do the IPEMBA certification. I took that years ago
Same here.
on a regular bike. I'm going to try to do it on the e-bike. And see how it goes. You know, we got to go up and down stairs, you got to go over curbs and that kind of stuff. Have you found any of that to be difficult on this bike compared to the traditional bikes?
Oh, the e-bike takes the curbs like nothing.
Yeah.
It barely feels like you're even going over the curb compared to the old traditional bikes.
Right.
This one here, you just no issues at all.
So if you guys are watching, pay attention because we're going to be doing a review of the Hemaway. That's an e-bike that is definitely a game changer. So maybe in the future when you're ready to upgrade or get a new one, I'll talk to you.
There we go.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thank you for showing us.
No problem. Nice to meet you.
All right.
Thanks, Dober. So this is the parking lot here. This is where all our patrol vehicles will come and park when they're not on the road.
Okay.
You'll see there's a bunch on the road right now, and then there's a few in here.
So other than the vehicles that you have, the new Ford Explorers that we're missing the Crown Vics, what else do you park back here?
So we have one pickup truck that we use for to carry our scales around and stuff for weight measurements and stuff of vehicles. We also have a utility vehicle here that's great for the trails.
A little side by side.
Yeah,
Okay.
it does great, and it's a huge. It's a party favorite at all our events and stuff for the kids. They love checking it out. and
Right,
seeing it
right.
and stuff, so.
Yeah, I think that would be definitely useful, for the assisting the bike team, down the
Absolutely.
trails.
Yep, absolutely.
And getting into those large events. Just recently, you guys had an event here in town, right?
Yeah, the Blobfest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great time.
About how many people do you get on a regular basis through those kind of things?
It depends. With Blobfest, it's on a Friday night. The street, we closed the 200 and 100 block of Bridge Street for that. I mean, you can easily have a couple thousand, 5,000 people. We have another event, the burning of the Phoenix that happens. I mean, you can get upward 8,000, 9,000 people for that event. So it just depends. It depends on the event.
Okay. How big is your coverage area?
It's about 3 square miles, or maybe 3.5 square miles.
About how many residents in that?
I think our last census put us right around 18,000.
Okay.
And maybe a little higher.
Okay. About how many calls do you guys get a day or a year?
So we're averaging probably close to 15,000 calls a year.
Okay.
Each day it varies. One day might be heavy on calls, one day might be light, but
Sure.
there's plenty to do. The guys stay plenty busy.
Yeah. 15,000, that's definitely meeting a lot of, exceeding what they do on the fire side of it. They're looking at, maybe 3,000 or 4,000 calls is a busy season for them. You're at 15,000, so you definitely got the crew to
Keeps
take
us
care of it.
active for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I was to get arrested, maybe I did something, or and you needed to take me in for questioning, how do I go about doing that?
So if an officer on the street has to arrest somebody and bring them back here to the station, what they would do is they would come in through the secure gate right behind you here.
Okay.
And then they would come down here to the Sally Port.
So I'm riding in this vehicle. He's going to take me right up to this area here.
Yes, he's going to bring you right inside the Sally Port here, where he's then going to secure his weapon, and I'll show you where that all goes.
Okay. It's kind of nice that you have a private area to get me out of the vehicle.
It's safer for everybody. It's a good way to do it. The officer can secure his weapon in the lockbox here,
Okay.
and then he can take you out of the vehicle, and you're going to enter straight into the prisoner processing room.
Okay.
Before we go in there, I'll point out though that we also use this for storage.
Right.
That's our bike cage.
Okay.
Store our bikes.
Doors going to go down. That goes down automatically.
It does, yeah.
Okay. That's a good safety feature to have. We'll wait just a second till the door goes down. Looks like you got a number of bikes.
Yes, that's for our bike patrol unit. They can use all the different bikes that are in there. We only have the one e-bike right now, but we're looking to maybe expand upon that.
Okay,
and then we have
I
some
can get a deal
lockers.
for you. So
Yeah, we're always open to that.
All right.
So then you would bring them in here. You got to watch your step here.
Okay.
There's also, you'll see on both sides, you'll see the signs that let you know you're being recorded. Once we enter this room, all your actions and statements are being recorded, both audio and visually.
Okay.
So.
I like that, like I said, that it's private here, because I might be embarrassed for what I did. I don't want everybody seeing me get, being taken out and questioned. Having a private area like that's pretty cool to have.
Yeah, comes in handy for sure.
So we come in here.
So this is the processing room.
Okay.
This is where you would be fingerprinted to the live scan machine. It'd fingerprint you, photograph you.
So the fingerprints, it's no longer the black ink that you get on.
No more rolling the ink. No, it's all digital. It's all done on basically, essentially like a scanner. Is what it looks like.
Okay.
So like a computer scanner.
And then once I, give you my fingerprints, that goes into a national database, a local database,
A national database.
national
yeah.
database. Okay, that's pretty slick.
Yeah, it's convenient. It's nice because it's instant. You can get a return. So
Right,
it's
right.
good. This is our holding bench.
Okay.
We refer to it as. That's a lot of times. You may be just in here for a few minutes or waiting for a ride for someone to come get you, something like that.
Right.
We can just hold you right here on the bench. We don't necessarily need to secure you in a cell.
Okay. You have cells here too.
We do.
Okay.
So if you come on down this hallway here, this is the cell block. This will lead to the cells. And you'll notice the first cell on your right here is out of service. It's because last night we had a prisoner who was trying to break the sprinkler head, flooded the cell. They put their roll of toilet paper in the toilet and let it overflow. So we had to bring their mat out, and then we had to put it out of service for cleaning.
Right.
And then we have, 2 more cells on this side and 2 more on this side. And you'll notice this last one up here is actually a handicap cell. You don't see it too often, but we have had it where maybe someone in a wheelchair or something's had to come in.
Sure.
And we want to make sure that we have everything that they would
That's
need
a
as well.
forward-thinking thing.
Yeah.
Have a handicap service.
Well, it's one of those things. Just because someone gets arrested doesn't mean they're a bad person. It means they made a mistake, right?
Right.
And we want to be able to treat everybody the same and with dignity and stuff. So a handicapped person should have a cell that is capable for them to use all their resources.
Sure. I also like the fact that you guys got pads in the rooms. Not
We
many
do.
of those have those.
So our old station, we didn't have that. It was just a steel bench and uncomfortable and stuff. And, again, it comes back to what I just said. We tend to treat everybody as if, they made a mistake. They're not a bad person. They made a mistake, and that's why they're here. So we try to make it as comfortable as we can while keeping it safe for everyone involved.
Right. Now, I noticed that you don't have anybody here. Do you keep people here, or is this a temporary kind of holding?
Temporary. Our goal is to get people that we can released. People that aren't going to be released, we get them over to Chester County Prison for central booking as soon as we can.
Okay.
A lot of times this is just a temporary use until we can get the manpower situated to make those transports.
Okay, so that could be, anywhere from a couple hours to a day or two.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Rarely two. It might have happened maybe once or twice in my career. It's usually anywhere from a couple hours to maybe 12 hours if we're waiting for an on-call judge or something like that.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Do you have a place for kids then too? You know,
So we have a juvenile cell.
I know right here in the borough, you got a lot of families, stuff like that. And you know, growing up, I had my bike stolen, so you're going to catch those guys for me, I hope. And they'd have to have a place to stay too. Would they stay here?
So it would not be right here. No, it would not be where we put the adults. It would be over in the next hallway. I'll show you. There's a juvenile cell.
Okay.
So we keep them around the corner here, and you'll notice again we have the sign advising everyone to be recorded both in English and Spanish.
Right.
Because again, this room is recorded. We want everyone to know that.
Sure.
But the juveniles are kept around the corner because, you know, you want to keep them sight and sound separate from adults.
Okay.
And they want to be in constant view, and you can only hold a juvenile so many hours. You're not going to hold them for a very long time. You try not to hold them at all, but if you have to, it's quick. So this would be the juvenile cell. You'll notice there's no toilet or water fountain in this cell because they're in constant view. We actually like to get them out as much as we can. So if they need to use the restroom, they use the restroom right over here, located on this wall here. We'll bring them in here to this restroom.
So you're really trying to make it the best possible scenario for adults and children that get incarcerated for some reason or another.
Yes.
You're not here to punish them. You're here just to basically give them room to stay, let them cool off, and let the courts kind of take it from there.
That's correct. Our job is not to punish. Like we enforce the law the way it's written to the best of our abilities without, you know, we show no. I always tell everybody it's not personal. Listen, you know, you made a mistake, and now let's work together to get you to this process and get you to the next step. And that's what it is. That's all.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of the lay public don't understand. You know, there's been a lot of bad social media out there, and we need to change that because there are so many good police officers like yourself and good departments like this here in Phoenixville that are doing things right. And we appreciate you guys doing that. So thank you for taking the time to kind of show us around and let us know what's going on. And thank you for your service.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
So,
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Once again, this was Heroes Next Door. We just did a station cribs with the Phoenixville Police Department. If you haven't done it yet, do us a favor. Hit subscribe, hit notifications so we can keep bringing you more. We want to hit that 100,000 subscriber mark. With your guys' help, we can do that. Before I end, though, do us a favor. Go over to our website, watchheroesnextdoor.com, and get yourself some merchandise. Thank you for supporting us, and we'll see you again next week. You know, a lot of our paperwork and what we need to do. I got distracted.
Let's go back.
So other than the vehicles out here, as far as you got, you know, the new Crown Vics, I mean the
Explorers.
I'm gonna start again.